Hi there guys, today we're going to be solving finding the longest word in a string. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to do with any question that I have is try to break down what the problem statement is and then try to come up with an adequate solution to solve that problem statement. So let's look at it in different steps. So we have a string, so I'm just trying to explain what the problem is. We have a string, and inside that string we have a sentence with a lot of words there, and what we want to do is we want to return the longest sentence in those lists of what we want to do is we want to return the longest word in that sentence, or the longest word in the actual string, right? So after understanding that problem statement, one caveat as well is when we return this word, it has to be the actual length. So we're not returning the string, we're returning the number, the actual length of the string. So when trying to solve an issue like this, what I like to go back to is how I would do this on pen and paper. And the way I would do this on pen and paper is I would look at my string, right, or my sentence, and then I would count each and every single word inside this sentence. So that's 3 words. Quick, that's 5 words. Until we got to the word that was the biggest. And then I would jot that down somewhere and say, okay, this is the biggest word. If I then find a word that surpasses that, okay, then I will use that word. But until then, it's all fine. So the first, how I would break down and how I would try to solve this is, I would just grab my sentence, count each word, and find the biggest. So then the next step is, how do we implement this in a coding way? So the first thing I need to do to implement this is I need to find a way to actually split up this string. And what I mean by this is that when I have the output here, I can't really do any counting because it's in the string. So for example, if I do string.length, it gives me all the characters, and that's not good. So I need a way to split all the words that are inside the string. And a great method that we have in JavaScript that's great is we can do .split. And in .split, I need to define an argument in my .split argument. Didn't do that properly. In .split, I need to define an argument. So inside it, I need to put in what I want my split to be at. So I said split everything inside the array when I wrote it down like this, where it's an empty string, right? And it gives me every single letter. So this isn't really what I want. What I want is I want to divide it by words. The way I can divide it by words is by adding a space here. So I want it to split on each space. So there's a space here. Quick, there's a space here. And every time it hits a space, it's going to split and create a new element within my array. So now what I've been able to successfully do is grab each and every single word inside the string. So now after I've grabbed every single word inside the string, I want a way to then, so actually let's put this inside a variable. So we'll call this list of words is equal to string.split. Right, so we've put this inside a variable. Forgot to define it. Let list of words equals. Now that I have my list of words, I am not going to actually return a word. I'm going to return the lengths of the words. So I need to find a way to transform this array of words into an array of numbers, and these numbers contain the length of each word. Now the great thing again about JavaScript is we have another built-in function that is called .map. Essentially what .map does is it takes every single element of your array and it returns you a new array with whatever you want. So for example, I'm gonna say dot map words. I'm self-defining that, and then I want it. Oops. And then I want it to return something. So, for example, I can just return the word, or I can return the word plus 4. And then what it'll do is it'll add an 4 to the end of each word. So I can return for each element. I can do the same exact thing for each element and return the same thing for each element. So what I want to return I want to return the length. That's the same thing that I want to return for each element. So I want to know what the length is. So now I have the length. Now let me put that into another variable just to make this all neat. Let list of words length equal, and then yeah, I want it to equal this. All right. So we've run into it. I didn't close the map. That's all fine. So now that I have the list of words and now I have all the numbers, I can't necessarily return this, because if I return it, it's going to fail, because one, it's asking me for one number and then I'm giving it an array of numbers. Now, like, there are several ways I can actually try to do this, but I think the quickest method from here, the quickest route from here, is if I use another built-in function in JavaScript called math.max. So I call maths, and then I call in a built-in function called max. And then what math.max is, if I just put in different values, right? So what math.max will do, it will return me the value that is the highest. So like, let's say for example, I put in here 29. It's always going to return me the maximum value. If you've ever done a lot of Excel, you know, you've used a dot map function. So essentially, I want to do this with this list of words length array. So when I grab this array, the issue is I can't just put it in here, right? It gives me not a number, and that's because the dot math built-in function, it's expecting you to give your argument has to be a number. It's not expecting your argument to be an array. And that's actually why it's returning not a number, because an array is not a number. So the way I can put in all the numbers that are inside my array is if I add a spread operator. So I add the spread operator, and as you can see, it returns 6, which is the highest. Essentially what the spread operator is doing, it's grabbing my array and turning all of them into arguments, and then the .max function accepts numbers as arguments. It doesn't accept arrays as argument. So essentially, if I just return this, and obviously I don't have too many brackets, if I return this, it's gonna pass. Alright, that was awesome. Thanks for watching the video. Have a nice day and keep coding.